Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Assassin's Creed Revelations. We'll probably finish the game today, as much as I'm willing to do on screen. It's not been a great journey. We had crashing in the last recording. We had twice at two different points in this game, the engine has completely failed to run on a modern PC, and I have to go make the PC act like it has only a single core processor, which wouldn't have even been the case when this came out for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. The story twist that I was expecting, that the prince that you were helping throughout the entire game was actually a Templar, and that you were being used and tricked, turns out not to be the case, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be the case because the prince that was the other prince turned out to be the Templar. There's only been really 3 main nameable Templars. There are 7 more for the Master Assassin quests, but they don't really play any role in the game other than 2 missions that you don't even have to do. Right now we're trying to escape and make it back to Constantinople to save Sophia. So we just killed this guy, Manuel, who would have been the perfect main secret, main, what would you call him, lackey of the prince, and he should have been introduced at the very beginning of the game, or talked about, at least mentioned in such a way. We've burnt the city and we're now killing everybody, citizens and both citizens and guards alike. You don't really need your eagle senses. It's not very difficult to program the populace to cough in place. So while this is kind of interesting looking, it's not that interesting. Don't lose more than half your health. Apparently I was losing health at random because of the smoke, and that's a concept that's never even been introduced in this game before. So how in the world was I supposed to figure out that that was what was happening? It's funny, we never really burnt Rome. Like, when you think about Nero and Caligula and some of the famous Greek and Roman senators and all of that that was talked about, like, we've never really had a game set in those time frames. And maybe they'll come back and do them at some other point. I think Caligula would be hard to do without putting a lot of sex in the game, unless you're just going to pass all of that.
Our time together was brief, I know. But I have faith this codex will answer the many questions you have yet to ask.
Altair, this gift is invaluable. Grazie.
So
here we have
would you go next?
the oldest version
Back
of Altair.
to Constantinople for a time. We will establish a guild there before returning to Venezia.
Your son Marco will be eager to hear his father's wild stories.
So Nicola
He's a little young for such tales,
was an
but one
assassin,
day soon.
and we never get to play as
the
him.
vanguard of Mongols has broken through. The village is overrun.
Niccolo, your cargo and provisions are waiting for you by the village gates. We will escort you there.
Now his son,
Ready to catapult and watch
Altair's
for my
son,
signal.
has
close.
to, at some point, impregnate somebody else, so that DNA goes to the, like, which way are we going? We can't go this way. So, who's this other Polo? Mafia Polo. Interesting. That may not happen in the story.
Stay close.
And he's just using the apple like crazy. And is that because I knocked out... Did I just knock out all the assassins too? No, I'm creating illusions of assassins. But I am also killing assassins and horses, maybe. Maybe not the horse. Maybe the horse is already dead.
This way. Let's move.
So there is a slight question as to why the Polos are immune to this. Are they holding the Mycev keys? Right, so we've got this guy fighting. He's one of our guys.
Let's go.
And it just works. This is exactly like Brotherhood, where at the end you could just hold down the X button and use it for your own advantageous
this way.
thing. Apparently they really want me to climb up here. And you can see the swords of these delusions are still animating as if they were real swords. I guess you had to kind of assume that this was the case, that the apple could create illusions that could hurt you. Otherwise it stops making any sense that the final battle would have killed you. And see, Altair's just got this bleeding effect now, I think, where he's seeing things that aren't there.
Father, are you hurt?
Give me a moment.
And see, they didn't even make you walk all the way to the gate this time. You walked halfway in a very small section.
When I was very young, I was foolish enough to believe that our creed would bring an end to all these conflicts.
It really hasn't.
If only I possessed the humility to say to myself, I have seen enough for one life. I have done my part.
And I guess
Then
that's
again,
the
there is
message
no
that this
greater
game is trying
glory
to
than
teach
fighting to find the
Ezio,
truth.
We are ready.
is that
A last
you don't
thing,
have to do
Niccolo.
anything.
Take these with you and guard them well. Hide them if you must.
Artifacts?
Of a kind. They are keys. Each one imbued with a message.
A message for whom?
I wish I knew.
And so it's Altair directly telling Ezio, you've done enough, your story's done, you're not going to have this big resolve, which is ridiculous. It might also have implied that it was a message to Desmond, but actually that's not the case. Desmond has to go on to do more things
Much has transpired, and little of it good.
in the future in
I am on
Assassin's
a
Creed
ship
3.
bound for Constantinople.
I
in
guess
pursuit of a man whose
really
treachery
these
has eluded me
messages
until
are the
now.
ancient aliens
Prince Ahmed,
manipulating
Suleiman's uncle,
things
is the man
so
leading
that
Templars here.
Ezio sleeps with
behind the
Sophia
Marciav
so that
expedition,
Desmond gets
and he will
born.
stop at nothing to
Like,
retrieve the
that's
keys,
really what these
all of which
ancient
are now in
aliens are
assassin
doing,
hands.
is they're manipulating
So what
all
holds
of
me back?
history.
Why do I not
from
take the keys to
a very
Marciav
past.
myself and be done with these fools? Because I have been careless. Because the Templars know about Sophia, and they're looking for her. Oh, Claudia, if anything should happen to her, I could not live with myself. I have dragged her
Still
into a
hating
war
this
she
black
knows nothing
background
about.
stuff, and we know
And it
this
will
is
be my
an
burden to bear
animation,
if
so
she
the
comes to any
blackness
harm.
is supposed to be that way. It's not some visual glitch. Or if it is a visual glitch, it's something I've never seen before in my life. It'd be a visual glitch you would expect if you had perhaps not fully plugged in a video card or not given it enough power. Something really horribly wrong that you could do to a video card is the idea of blackness instead of textures.
Citizens of the Empire and travelers from foreign lands take heed. By order of the Janissaries, new restrictions apply to all who travel to and from the city. Note that a reward of 10,000 akçe will be given without question to anyone who brings in information that leads to the immediate arrest of the suikastçı, Ezio Auditore.
10,000. I have 70,000 on me right now, I believe.
I do love the material on that blade.
Ah, so we're back here. And I suppose if you wanted to, you could finish up any memories that you hadn't done. But in my instance, that's not too much. Let's see. Strategic markers, we don't need any of those on. Templar things, we don't really need. Romani buildings, Marseille buildings, Steve buildings, bomb craftings, ferries, landmarks, off. Economic things. Black market dealers off. And peri-res off because I don't think there's any reason to do that. It's so you couldn't use your Assassin's Guild at all in that previous area. Maybe that kind of makes sense, but also you could have just as easily had the final, well, you could have had all of those levels that we experienced happen, but in a memory sequence where the assassins can't help you. It could be something as simple as we have to keep a low profile right now, we can't help you. That's all they needed to say. And I guess I am not within that 20-minute period where we can go here. Even compared to the previous area, this looks so much better. Pouches, large poison thing, knife belt upgrade. I think I've now purchased everything there is to purchase from the tailor. We've pretty consistently swapped outfits, and it's still not really doing anything or not really feeling any different. Like, we could go back to the original gray. I really don't need to buy 5 more parachutes. By the time you can afford 5 more parachutes, there's no reason for it. We've purchased all the treasure maps, and I'm not sure if I can buy the books. Yeah, you can't even buy the books that are available for purchase in the other area, which then means that if you want to get all the books and get that achievement, you're going to have to specifically replay that memory. We could go look for a doctor and see if there's anything there as we walk. I did want a blacksmith too, so we'll kind of go out of our way. I have to be slightly careful here. I don't want to accidentally waste all my time and end up with another recording. Look how slow that was. Fast poison, and that we don't need to purchase any of that. Yeah, I don't want to spend an hour running around to only find that there's more to do. I'll just go ahead and purchase these, even though I know this will equip things wrongly. I'll have this whole sphere set now equipped. You can't re-equip the important ones though. The ones that would have been nice. We'll take 1 second here just to very quickly look at each of these weapons. I suspect most, if not all, of these weapons were in Brotherhood. I'll go ahead and re-equip my bearded axe. I mean, even if they were given a different name, I suspect the art is the same. And in a weird way, you'd kind of expect that you'd see some guards holding all of these weapons. That would have certainly spiced some things up. These different knives, these different elements. You can't easily do that, however, because then that takes up more video memory, and I imagine the game already was kind of at a maximum as far as video memory, loading in textures and things.
Goodbye, sir.
So,
Hope to see you again.
weapons unlocked at the headquarters, unless there are weapons now that simply or only purchasable at the blacksmith in the other area. There's really nothing else to do. Tunnel entrance to this tunnel entrance, and we'll just fast travel. Yep. Yep. I'm just double checking, just making sure there's nothing else left to do. We should probably look at the DNA. Because we are in sequence 8 now. And there's only three memories, and it's called the end of the era, so it's pretty obvious what's going to happen. Ezio, slightly influenced by the ancient aliens that we may see or may not see in this game at all, is getting pushed by these memories that Altair is sending a message to him. You could have easily left the Altair content on the cutting room floor too. That as a selling a marketing point sounds good in principle, did not play well in actual practical use. It also kind of boggles my mind that Ezio, he must have put the apple somewhere for storage and never gotten it again, because theoretically Ezio throughout this whole game should have had the apple in his hands. Like, I think, like, I don't even remember the story. Did he use the apple to unlock the place under the Pope's chapel? Did he use the apple to did he hide the apple? Like, why doesn't he have the apple? Why wasn't I using it throughout the whole game? So there's assassins all over this place protecting Sophia, so I assume she's safe. If attacked, kill 5 guards in close combat without getting hit. So, if attacked, seems like they ransacked this area. And we're gonna either find Sophia protecting herself, or hiding, or dead. I guess we could find her there. Like, how did all these people get in here? And like, I would personally, if I saw somebody open a secret passage here, I would have jimmied it and played with it to try to unlock that lock in the first place. And tried to hide in there. Let's see. So there's a knife in the back. This point with the blood, it makes kind of sense, but many times in the game it didn't.
You have earned your rest, brother. Requiescat in pace.
So there was a spy lady that showed up and then disappeared.
Brothers,
in the previous
sisters,
memory.
the whole city rises against us, while Yusuf's murderer waits and watches from the arsenal, laughing. Fight with me, and show him what it means to cross the assassins.
The assassins question mark? I wonder if they tried to make a font that had the assassin symbol in it, and then they lost the license or didn't finish, and that's what the question mark is. So our target is here. Press LB to use your assassin signal. Hold for Aerostorm. Yeah, we've been playing this game. We know what we're doing. Is there a better way to sneak in the arsenal? Or do we just take it straight on? It would almost kind of make sense to like I don't remember what the full sync thing was, but no, we'll just do this. Your ability to call assassins will not diminish. Alright, well then let's just Arrow Storm and Emperor Arrow Storm and Arrow Storm. And while we're at it, how about some Arrow Storm? It's like, how many people are we killing? Like, this is just too easy.
Suppose the next Sultan would be an easy kill, you double it again.
And he's still talking in the background.
Where is she?
Such fury.
Where is she?
If you think you are in a position to negotiate, kill me and be done with it.
He seems to have adopted this
I am sorry
idea
it had to come to this.
where
Two
he's
men who should be friends,
stabbing
quarreling
people in the
over
shoulder.
The keys to a library. We both strive for the same end, Ezio. Only our methods differ. Do you not see that? Peace, stability, a world where men live without fear.
This guy would have been better if he'd
People
given
desire
us
the
more
truth,
speeches
yes.
earlier.
But even when they have it, they refuse to look. How do we fight this kind of ignorance?
Liberty can be messy, Ahmed, but it is priceless.
Of course.
It's really
And when
funny how the
fiends fall
assassins
apart,
always
and the lights of
get
civilization
portrayed
dim,
as the good guys. These
Ezio Auditore can stand above the
liberty-loving
darkness and say
organization.
proudly, I stayed true to my creed.
When the real assassins really weren't that.
I will open that library, and I will find the Grand Temple. And with the power that is hidden there, I will destroy the superstitions that keep men divided.
Not in this life, Ahmed.
Bring the seals to Galata Tower when you are ready. Do this, and Sophia will be spared. My brother's army will be here soon, Ezio. After that, everything changes.
His brother's army, is that his actual brother or Templar army? See, and I figured this guy would have betrayed
How
me.
long have you been here?
Long enough. I had Ahmed dead as soon as he returned. But I never expected to hear all this.
And what do you think?
He is a sincere man. But this Templar fantasy of his is dangerous. It flies in the face of reality. The world is a tapestry of many colors and patterns. A just
I
leader
wish this
would
game
celebrate
was a
this,
tapestry of
not
many
seek to
colors and
unravel
patterns.
He fears the disorder that comes from difference.
That is why we make laws to live by. A qanun that applies to all in equal measure.
Shahzadem, stand back!
Hold, soldier! This man is not our enemy.
What a challenge it would be to have a son like you.
You are not dead yet, old friend. Ezio, spare my uncle if you can.
Would your father?
No.
See, and they talk about the Sultan a lot, but we don't even see him. We kind of needed a story where we dealt with him. What's the deal with these red lights? Why are they just bright red as they're not animated in, and then they look right later? That's the engine taking its sweet time to animate things. And let's see, if we went to the inventory, there's still nothing in the bank. We're not going to actually get a deposit in the bank probably before we end this game. Let's run to this fast travel point and then fast travel straight to the headquarters, because that's where they want us to go. And I wouldn't be 100% surprised if the game came out directly and said you can't actually fast travel to the headquarters. Let's ask this question. It does require to be recharged now, so only in that one memory did you get the benefit of a fully never depleting number of assassins around you. And if that was better written, that would have been a fine level. Apparently this one assassin is just programmed to stand there. That would have been a fine level to end the whole game on, and yet that's not what they did. And my Templar awareness went down. And then those Templars are really just going to town. So, hideout. Apparently we can't go to where we already are. Just fast travel. I suppose you could have a twist where the prince we just talked to was actually betraying us, but that's highly unlikely. I just don't trust this game to do something like that. And these are the Ishka Pashi outfit that we were supposed to. You should be wearing this one. You could instead be wearing the Master Assassin's armors. It's the same.
Greetings,
we now have everything here. And I believe we have everything here. And everything here. And boy, do these outfits just look boring as possible. We have, let's see, all the weapons here. All the weapons here. These are the faction weapons, I guess. And so I didn't get the thieves or the Romani weapon. Whatever. Like, this is a sword that the mercenaries leader, which, remember the leader of the mercenaries in Rome? Yeah, why is he not back? Why not have all the characters that and voice actors that you paid, bring them back, say they traveled with him to this area to help establish a new assassins area, a new assassins guild. Have us start at the very beginning. Wow, there's clearly something for purchase that is only available for purchase in certain places. or something, because I'm missing too many weapons here.
Always good to see you, Mentor.
We've got a guy
Peace be on you, Mentor.
sharpening a sword, which we don't see that often. So I don't know if that's a specific thing that only happens in very specific places or not. So here's some messages we haven't done in a long time. We've got all kinds of cities under attack. My goal was going to be to get all of these people up to level 15. I don't see a real reason why that would happen. And by sending that many people, I just took off Arrow Storm as an option. Let's just for sanity's sake and thoroughness sake look at this bomb section. It doesn't even feel like it's a main part of the building. You know, if we get to the point where high dynamic range video becomes the new standard, video games like this could drastically benefit from just a recolorization. Impact shell, sticky pouch. Let's see, small explosion radius, medium explosion radius, a very large area. Keys lethal powder, explosive force. Alright. So now at least I have some bombs. And of course we're not getting all of these things done. Even the things we did get done, like collecting all the treasures chests, then didn't even get us a Uplay achievement. Yeah, this whole section could have just been boarded off and the bomb element could have been removed. Also, there could have been a whole section over here. But I can't jump up on the barrier and walk over here. So, unless there was some way for me to glitch over there, and if I did, I'd probably die and never have a way to get back. It wants me to stand here to start the next thing. We never really got a clear understanding why Aesop Fables and this that doesn't even work half the time, Mission to Constantinople, and what was the third one? On Nature. Like, no clue.
It is good you are back.
Like here, it's this librarian lady. Can't climb up the ladders. It's not well laid out, this headquarters. There's no hallway to promote assassins. You could have copy and pasted that from Brotherhood, but I'm pretty sure these games were developed in parallel, so there's definitely elements in Brotherhood that aren't in this game. There's no bosses. Like, there's just this desk.
Good to see you, Mentor.
And that's how they do all of their business, and everybody else is lying on floors, drinking wine, smoking hookahs, which is in line historically accurate with the assassins, but not all the time. Here's a bench for really no reason, or a footstool, maybe an ottoman, just for a joke. Collect the Myself keys and deliver them to Ahmet to save Sophia. Rescue Sophia before she loses 50% of her health. He's seen all of the memories, right? So what's encoded in there is what Ezio was supposed to see. It's just that the keys also open the library. So Okay. And they just want me to walk out of the headquarters and go, I believe, to this tower. So this is going to be a short experience. They're going to have us climb the tower, I imagine, one more time. Like, I can't even switch weapons while I'm in this area. This is kind of right now like the Assassin's Creed Origins mode, the educational mode they introduced, where you can climb, but you can't equip any weapons or hurt anybody, and the people won't particularly interact with you. Except for the educational element in that game. In Origins is also with these walking tours. Now I can select weapons, so we can do that. Let's see if maybe we can get away with throwing some bombs. The heat's on me pretty high, so I guess if I stood around long enough, somebody would try and stab me in the back. I want to take a moment to mention there's been recently, as I'm recording this, so it will be several months later, a talk of putting a tax in Rhode Island on violent video games. Now, there's never, let me make it clear, there's never been any proof whatsoever that violent video games create any form of criminal violence or really anything higher than aggressiveness, like a football player playing football might be aggressive, or a hockey player might be aggressive. And even the studies that have said there might be some links to aggressiveness in that instance are inconclusive. There is a contradiction there that the tax was claimingly going to be used to help schools, and schools are underfunded, so I kind of like the idea. I kind of think maybe the video game industry should donate some proceeds to school education and funding and mental health things. Now, the way they were going to put in that tax is because it's going to be for games that are rated M or higher, which means that some games that aren't violent that are rated M might also get bundled in there. But that being said, most M rating games do have some violence in them, and it's a little gratuitous, and it's gotten a little bit more gratuitous. This is a great example of one where blood could have just been turned off by default, and with probably not too much more work, you could have made this game teen plus. Maybe not. Maybe the fact that you're playing as an assassin and you're killing people over and over again, you can't get a teen plus for that. But in comparison, you can get a PG-13 movie where you kill hundreds and hundreds of people, and as long as you don't show the blood, as long as you don't show the knife directly going in, you can get away with that. And maybe the video game industry needs to get closer to that. I had to just say that right now to get on my soapbox. I know most 99.9% of people are going to point out that the person who proposed this bill is funded by the NRA in Rhode Island, and he's just trying to make political hay for himself and all of that. But I think just to protect the industry, the idea of the industry volunteering to donate to schools and making themselves look like the good guys and look like that they are doing something a little bit more than just digging their heels in and saying, yes, our rated adults only games and our rated mature games are not promoting violence. When you look at things like Doom revels in violence. This game revels in violence, and we could try some of that. Try to curtail that just to help the industry. All right, let's move on. I wanted to have that speech now before we finish the game. the tax is an attempt to do censorship because they know that they can't fully ban mature games. Also, parents always need to do their job and not let kids buy mature rated games. That being said, there's barely any games for the Xbox One or the PlayStation 4 that are rated below mature. And that's where I really come to this. As a YouTuber who has tried really hard to find kid-friendly games that are also good, it's really, really hard. You either find kid-friendly games that are terrible, or you find no kid-friendly games at all. And now kids are mostly getting pushed into mobile games with microtransaction elements. I guess I'm gonna give a speech in a graveyard. I guess they're doing the funeral
Mentor?
of their leader.
Now should be a time for remembrance and mourning, I know. But our enemies do not permit us that luxury. Yusuf thought highly of you, assassin. And I find no reason to second-guess this judgment.
We don't even know
Do
who
you
this
have
guy
it in
is.
your heart to lead these men and women?
It's just like a
to maintain
random
the dignity
face.
of our order, as Yusuf did
A
with such
random
passion.
character.
It would be an honor.
He's not even getting a
I'm
name.
glad. Our enemy is close.
They don't
Take
even say what his
positions around
name
the
is.
tower, then wait for my command.
Wow. Just terrible writing. Clearly, the person that you first take from a assassin all the way up to master assassin should have been the person who became the new leader. He should have been your friend. You should have known him by name and worked with him throughout this game. And instead, the game has us do random missions for random people. It has us ignore people, not care about anybody. Ezio still really doesn't even feel like he cares too much about what's going on here and the assassins. He seems to be more half interested in just saving Sophia. Like, honestly, he should be forced into making that tough decision. Is he going to save Sophia, or is he going to save the assassins? And we ended up fighting on a bridge.
I admire you, Ezio.
At the end of
But your
2, I
bloodlust
believe.
makes it hard to call you a friend.
Bloodlust.
So
Strange insult from the man who ordered an attack on his own
things.
nephew.
He was to be kidnapped, Ezio, not killed.
I see. Kidnapped by the Byzantines so that his uncle could rescue him and be heralded a hero.
More or less. Now, the keys.
First, the girl.
She's all yours.
And she's
Sophia! Tell your men to back off.
so they're gonna throw her off the.
She's all yours.
They're gonna throw her off the top of the Tower Galata, which who knows what the Tower Galata is, or why it's so important. So one more time with a oops. Well, that's gonna kill me. It's still a little too easy to accidentally jump. Suppose I'm gonna go back to this rant. I try not to rant in my content. I do rant in my live streams. when I play Hearthstone, talk about video game news. But I suppose I should expand to say I think probably all the media should just donate towards mental health and make a good advertisement saying that's what they do. Look, it's not even gonna be Sophia.
Teşekkürler efendim. Çok teşekkürler.
So now they're strangling her. I don't know why they're even bothering. And in a weird way, ooh, this would have been cool, the idea of being shot at while doing all this. Are we close enough now to do an arrow storm? Not until I jump down. I guess I free her by walking to her and not cutting the rope.
Are you hurt?
Not hurt, but very confused.
I did not mean to drag you into this. I'm sorry.
It has been throughout this game they've been showing her cleavage,
this will be over soon.
but I haven't
But I need to
mentioned it
recover what they
up
have
until
taken.
this point because it's period accurate. Like,
Ezio, who are these men?
that's
Run!
so there's really nothing to say there. She is in what seems to me a period accurate dress. So if anything, I would complain about Ezio's dress and his ridiculous amount of armor and coverage. Don't tell me they're gonna give me another vehicle. Yeah, apparently they're gonna give me another vehicle race. After how terrible the one earlier was.
Well, you have come to see me off.
So I don't know. I don't want to drive on the road because that's what hurts my carriage, and so I've already kind of failed. Steer the direction of the enemy to deal damage. I don't believe that's actually true. I believe what actually happens is you have to steer the enemy into rocks. And I'm just going both directions. I just failed. Desynchronized. Yep. I knew the second I was gonna go over those rocks, I was gonna take that last bit of damage. So at least I'm learning the system, for as awful as it is.
We are close. Keep steady.
Why not make this cutscenes?
Well, you have come to see me off.
Clearly this was a part of the engine that they wanted to work on, but something that they were just not ready for. Like, this is just not finished. And where's my gun? If I was to ask a simple question, like, where is my gun? Winding up longer than your opponent will deal more damage. Don't drive on that. Now get on the path. And you can't heal your cart. Ah! This is ridiculous. Did I hit a checkpoint? Yeah, just make this a cutscene. You know what? Just get rid of this. This has nothing to do with anything. Save her from the being strangled. Finish the story there. Have me chase down the guy with the cutscene. way this whole system works is awkward. It doesn't make a lot of sense. We have another carriage just come about out of nowhere. I think for the most part I'm supposed to just kind of stay on the road. If I just keep myself where I'm supposed to be, maybe I won't take too much damage. None of those people, I was just at the checkpoint there. None of those people had anything to do with anything.
Hang on, Sophia!
Look out! Ezio!
And then parachute out to invent parasailing.
Are you hurt, Sophia?
I don't think so.
Hold on!
So I'm supposed to press
Obviously.
X to assassinate or B to throw. What does throw do?
Oh no!
This is an interesting idea, parasailing
I am all right.
out throughout the...
Soldiers, up ahead!
I see them.
So I'm trying to get closer so I can assassinate. Like, how do I throw an enemy? I guess I do it that way. You know, if this was a middle of the game break in the experience, this would be great. Clearly somebody
Sophia, you must be
spent
careful.
time
I know.
developing this map. We're
Kill yourself, Sophia. More
intertwining
soldiers!
through something. There seems to be no double assassinate that happens right now. Yeah, and the throw doesn't work unless somebody is close by. Look, there's the horses that we've been missing throughout this whole game. Nice wide open areas that we've been missing throughout this whole game. So get close enough and throw this guy at somebody else. Yep, it does. It just automatically locks on. Throw one towards the other. Well, I missed one guy, so you have to assassinate until there's only two. It seems when you start to look at it that there's no citizens in this area. There's some very hard trees with some very hard walls. Very possibly going in circles. I heal myself? Yes, I can.
Please move.
So, it feels like there might have been a third location, and if there was a third location, and the second location was better, and if my Zeph was bigger, like, there's a lot of ands and ifs there, but, like, you could potentially have had 3 really good, 3 or 4 really good levels in this game. Nice areas of medium size. I don't really hate the idea of medium-sized areas, but the second location is far too small, and there's just nothing in it to do.
Where did you learn to fight?
You just keep running into people. So we killed 20 guards. seems like you probably would have done that. As long as you're killing a decent number of enemies at all. It's worth pointing out that at any point he could have landed on one of those horses and cut himself free and then said, Sophia, find someplace safe to hide, instead of having her continue to drive and continue to be in danger. I mean, you can probably excuse that because it wouldn't look as cool and because it wouldn't, Ezio may have not thought of it. Inherently, Ezio does have to explain that he's an assassin. Okay, we're supposed to fight as we're falling. And we're just doing this left trigger the block element and then X to punch. And I'm about to die. So it's punch him, but also defend. And did we do it? Yeah, we did. I don't feel like I really deserved to win there. That felt very scripted, and that would have been a fine cutscene to just be animated. And since that was mostly an animated cutscene anyways with QuickTime events, you could have just taken out the QuickTime events. And had some talking.
So what now, Ezio? How does this end?
I am wondering that myself.
Oh! Soldiers! Selim is not your master! You serve the Sultan! You carry out his command alone! Where is he? Where is the Sultan?
He stands before you, brother. Father made his choice.
Selim! Stop! Please!
Who's this guy? So this is like his brother, who we didn't even ever meet?
So, you are the assassin. Ezio Auditore.
Why not the other
I am
prince?
Selim, Suleiman's father. He speaks quite highly of you.
He is a remarkable boy with a magnificent mind.
Were it not for his endorsement, I would have you killed where you stand. Leave this place. Do not return.
You did the right thing, Ezio. This is not your fight.
So he just
Where
gets
does one
banished from the
end
land?
and the next begin.
I don't know if he would have always used that weapon, or if that was just because that was the weapon I chose. So, the prince's father, who we've never seen at any point in the story whatsoever, decided to kill the other prince who was in line to be the Sultan. And I wasn't even really remembering that element.
Bill, good to see you. Listen, we've got a customs officer waiting to talk to everyone.
And we're back with
I hope you have
Bill.
something for us. Absolutely. Passports and papers for everyone.
Ah, brilliant. So I'm what? A neurosurgeon now, am I?
You're a medical team from SUNY Upstate. Just back from Rome with your patient. Experimental gene therapy.
Good work.
Interesting.
Let's get this over with.
Wait, look. This is crazy.
What's wrong?
I'm not sure, but Desmond's brain is lighting up like a string of firecrackers.
Weren't they incapable of monitoring him? So, is everything getting destroyed?
Here it comes. What is that? What's going on? This is the end, Desmond. Scheduled for deletion. What are you doing?
What is a man but the sum of his memories? We are the stories we live, the tales we tell ourselves.
Don't do this.
I'm saving you, idiot! Go! Go!
So subject 16 gets deleted, and where does he walk? Like, he walks back into the
write these
memory
lines
gate.
with a steady hand and a light heart. We are in Acre now, Sophia and I, with the 5 Masyav keys
Acre
in
being
our
a good
possession,
city that should have been
and all the
added to
time
this
in the
game.
world. Sophia is a seasoned traveler and a fine companion to have so far from home. Tomorrow we will make our way to Masyav, and once there, into Altair's library to fulfill
So
our father's
you really
forgotten
got like a
dream.
2-minute
Forgive the shortness of
completion
this letter, dear
of
sister.
Desmond's story. They did
For it
not
is late,
care at all.
and we are tired. Perhaps, with luck, the next words you hear from me will be in person. Con affetto, Ezio.
So Ezio's gonna return to Rome. That's his plan after opening the library, which, okay. So they kind of just wanted to get rid of Subject 16, which frankly Subject 16 had already been gotten rid of. He was really nothing of importance. He could have just been ignored. Ezio and Sophia have arrived at Myself after many weeks of travel. Time to open the library.
This way.
It's been an hour. I'm
Such
gonna
a
try and rush this though, because in all fairness, I don't think there's too much left here. But this is kind of insane. I don't recognize this. Oh, yes I do. This is the castle of Myself. And we're not even having to run through the city. Because they've realized that we found it annoying.
È così bello qui. This is where your order began?
It began thousands of years ago, but here it was reborn.
By the man you mentioned, Altair?
Altair ibn La'ahad. He built us up and set us free. He saw the folly of keeping a castle like this. It had become a symbol of arrogance and a beacon for all our enemies.
And the mandate for menacing hoods? Was that his idea as well? Come, we must hurry.
So they don't even answer
before. What is it?
Nothing is true. Everything is permitted.
That is rather cynical.
It would be if it were doctrine, but it is merely an observation of the nature of reality. To say that nothing is true is to realize that the foundations of society are fragile, and that we must be the shepherds of our own civilization.
This is a reinterpretation, I believe.
Is permitted is to understand that we are the architects of our actions, and that we must live with their consequences, whether glorious or tragic.
I like this reinterpretation. Too bad
Do
they
you regret
probably
your
didn't stick
decision
with it.
to live as an assassin for so long?
I do not remember making that decision. This life, it chose me.
You don't remember
For
your
3
family
decades,
being hanged?
I have served the memory of my father and my brothers,
Over here.
and fought for those who have suffered the pain of injustice. I do not regret those years, but it is time to live for myself, and let them go.
This way.
Let go of all of this.
See,
Then let go.
you could have added...
You will not fall
She's
for.
glitching. You could have added more, like an underground element to Myself, as big as Myself, and then it would have been about a medium-sized area. That would have worked.
Over here.
We do have this tiny underground section, but it really is just the entrance to the library. And when we get in the library, I'm assuming we're either going to have the ancient aliens talk to us, or we're gonna find an apple, and that's kind of it. Like, I don't think there's any big twist like in Brotherhood. Brotherhood ended on this huge twist, and then they really didn't want to deal with it, and they really weren't allowed to deal with it, I don't think.
The end of the road.
Clip through his armor. That's why his armor's always so big, is because it's trying to hide little instances of clipping. This would be the only puzzle in the entire game if this really is a puzzle.
What do you hope to find behind that door?
Wow.
Knowledge, above all else. Altair was a profound man and a prolific writer. He built this place as a repository for all his wisdom. He saw many things in his life and learned many secrets, both troubling and strange. Knowledge that would drive lesser men to despair.
There's 4 connections here, so
does that
the only place
you?
4 connections works is there.
Sophia, you should know by now that I am not a lesser man.
Ezio.
Let's see, how do we rotate with the bumps? And apparently we can
Those
get a hit.
diagrams look like constellations, Ezio. Capricorn, the Eagle, the Sagittarius. Perhaps the keys belong to one of them.
Let's see. Yeah, and they're all going to fit here, which kind of makes sense because there's 4 keys here, 2 keys here. So it's all the Eagle. So it's a simplistic puzzle anyways. As long as you know the go in the Eagle vision and you kind of count, there's 8 keyholes here, 4 here, 2 here. Now what would have been funny is if that opened like a wall a few feet away. So, but they already said this door was hardened beyond what anybody could break using some kind of ancient knowledge. Apparently Altair did get some kind of ancient knowledge. There's a animation of lighting torches, never used in the game at any other point. Why not have a scary mission at some point where you had to light torches, or just make that be used as something else? I guess maybe there was lighting the towers that where you did an action somewhat similar, but it was more along the lines of throwing the torch in the tower. It wasn't consistent. I wouldn't be surprised if there's kind of nothing here. Just a picture of Altair's family. No, it's a whole library. And so is Altair just going to spend his entire life in this library reading books, getting more knowledge? Or is he gonna find one more in my staff key? I can't run right now. Almost everything here is missing. So if this was supposed to be a giant library, it's been cleaned out. But that's what they were saying, is that Altair decided that this was not a smart place for the assassins to stay, so they would have cleaned out the whole library. Absolutely. The fact that there's anything left is kind of ridiculous. And it just feels empty, like this game feels empty. Here you have seats like there was a council when there's never been any kind of indication that there's a council. Which brings about an interesting thought, like, are the assassins in modern time run by one leader, or is there a council, or what? And by the way, what is this puzzle piece in the middle here? That looks odd, and we've never seen it before.
No books. No wisdom.
Just his last memories.
Just you, fratello mio.
So Altair dying in the chair.
Requiescat in pace, Altair.
apparently he built these keys using ancient knowledge, but they don't mean anything and never get used again.
You have seen to my books.
Yes. Some we sent with the Polos. The rest will go with me to Alexandria.
Good. Very good.
Father, I do not understand. Why did you build a library if you did not intend to keep your books?
You should go. When the Mongols return, Masyaf must be empty.
I see. This is not a library at all. It is a vault.
It must stay hidden, Darim. Far from eager hands. At least until it has passed on the secret it contains.
What secret?
Go, son. Go be with your family. And live well.
Again, Ezio only is able to see these images, not through genetic memory, but through the Mysef keys. And because Ezio saw it, and Ezio hasn't slept with Sophia yet, Desmond can see it. It seems like Altair is holding probably the apple, but we don't see the apple. So maybe he's holding just a container for Mysef keys.
In much wisdom is much grief, and he that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow.
Hide the apple.
What does it tell you? What do you see?
And so now he's putting out the light.
Visions and messages of ones who came before, of their rise and their fall.
But what happens to us, Altair? To our family? What does the apple say?
And see, he's hearing memories of his wife.
Who were the ones who came before? What brought them here? How long ago?
Get rid of that thing!
This is my duty, Maria.
Like, it would have been nice if we had more story with Maria. All of this needed to be its own companion game.
Where is she?
Or DLC.
If you are asked,
like something longer and in a straight order, which you played as Altair and
into the sea.
Could follow the whole story and
away from this place.
Do everything in the order without breaking between Altair, between Desmond, between sit a moment and rest. Yeah, right. So he's not even really hiding the apple that well. That's exactly where I would assume that the apple was, is behind a wall with an assassin symbol. Arguably is a little disappointing that somebody could hold the apple for their entire life and not use it much better than what Altair did. It makes the apple seem a little weaker than I think it should be depicted as. Like, Altair theoretically should have been holding it for his entire life and have nearly taken over the entire planet. Or he should have lost it throughout periods of his life and had to fight to get it back. Wow, we just got a ton of money for no reason. 19,000. Just walking through here, the door opened by itself.
Another artifact. No. You will stay here. I have seen enough for one life.
And that's the original apple. Which is to say, the apple that we've seen before.
He's talking to me?
Is different.
I heard your name once before, Desmond. A long time ago.
And now it lingers in my mind, like an image from an old dream.
I do not know where you are, or
by what means you can hear me. But I know you are listening.
He's taking off the blades.
I have lived my life as best I could, not knowing its purpose, but drawn forward like a moth to a distant moon. And here at last, I discover a strange truth. That I am only a conduit for a message that eludes my understanding. Who are we, who have been so blessed to share our stories like this? To speak across centuries? Maybe you will answer all the questions I have asked. Maybe you will be the one to make all this suffering worth something in the end. Now, listen.
And they're gonna leave it as if he says something different.
Do you hear me, Cypher? Can you see me?
Here's the least known ancient alien.
Good. A strange place, this nexus of time. I am not used to the calculations. That has always been Minerva's domain. I see you still have many questions.
He's just standing there saying nothing.
What became of us? What do we desire of you? You will have your answers. Only listen, and I will tell you how.
These elements do not need to exist in this series.
We built vaults within which to work, each dedicated to a different method of salvation. They were placed underground to avoid the war which raged above, and also as a precaution should we fail in our efforts. Each vault's knowledge was transmitted to a single place.
The Great Temple.
It was our duty, mine, Minerva's, and Juno's, to sort and sample all that was collected. We chose those solutions which held the most promise, and devoted ourselves to testing their merits. 6 we tried in succession, each more encouraging than the last, but none worked. And then the world ended.
Wow, and this is a full-on animation. And what do they mean by the world ended? Did the world really end? Are they talking to somebody from the future? Or did this happen millions of years before? See, if the idea was this was the distant future, it kind of confuses a lot of things. This would be a decent semi-modern time to have an Assassin's Creed game. Just skip modern time, go straight to a futuristic world. I'm pretty sure we've seen this cutscene before, or it's part of what was the truth in the first game, and now we're just seeing it not being cut up. And this feels like something you would have tried to show at like E3 to promote the game as a teaser trailer, but it has no part of the game. It doesn't connect at all. If you took all of the sections with the ancient aliens, the previous societies, both the humans here and the Juno and Minerva, who were a higher class of the ancient alien. They were actual ancient aliens. There may be some hint there that that woman and that baby
shook for days. The fires burned
are
for weeks.
kind of the Adam
And
and
when
Eve.
the ash had settled, less than 10,000 of your kind still lived, and far fewer of ours. But we carried on, together, to rebuild, to renew. Listen, you must go there, to the place where we labored and lost. Take my words, pass them from your head into your hands. That is how you will open the way. But be warned, much still remains in flux, and I do not know how things will
So
end.
they can't be in the
either
future.
in my time or yours.
Like, because then these ancient buildings wouldn't exist. So no time loop or anything. So
Wait,
here we have
look,
Bill
his
on the
vitals are
left.
stabilizing.
First time we've seen him in
Something's
the entire
happening.
game.
He's moving.
With the actor who played Q in
Desmond,
Star Trek.
Can you hear me?
Voice acting, getting a nice payout for
Son?
less than 100 lines of dialogue, it seems. Probably less than 30 lines of dialogue.
I know what we need to do.
I think his name is John J. Delaney. So it's just this mountain that he can open and only he can open. And that's the revelation. And the game just crashed. Why not? Why not wrap up this series exactly as that? Like, we've gone about 20 minutes over, and no, we're not going to end the game there. But, not quite there. But, it is very inappropriate, well, very appropriate, actually, that this game would crash right then. Let's see what this does, and if it crashes immediately, or if it's cool with whatever it's doing. It's just doing credits. Alright. And wow, you have to save because it crashes on the credits. Yeah, we're only about 15 minutes, 20 minutes over a regular episode. I could have made a second episode and talked about this. Ubisoft is not a Japanese company. It is a French company, just in case there's any question there. And the reason I want to say that is because it does kind of feel like the Templars are trying to do a very controlled society, something that would probably play to the Japanese audience a little bit better, where there are rules and you're supposed to follow the rules and you're supposed to be exactly like everybody else. Whereas most of the West fully embraces and endorses individuality almost above all other things. Asian countries, not just Japanese countries, but not just Japan, but most Asian countries, and frankly a lot of Middle Eastern countries too, are more totalitarian, more about everybody has to be the same. Which is really a long way to say nothing, because clearly, even in this instance, the Templars are always the bad guy. They've never had an ideology that makes any sense. Redefining the Assassin's Creed in this to say something different and mean something different is kind of interesting, but it is really just an interesting idea in a pile of poo. That's all we can really say. This game is crashy, it's garbage. The one city of Constantinople isn't a bad, not a bad idea on its own, but this should have been a much shorter game, like a 15 to 10 hour game. We can see the island is getting reconstruction here for the Animus Island, because they're going to have to throw you back into that so you can continue playing the game. to get the last few collectibles and things. Way too much money spent on level design. You needed, and the way Ubisoft makes the Assassin's Creed games, or at least how they were making them now, is that teams, Ubisoft Montreal and whatever other teams, would have been working on pieces and maps. So it wouldn't have been a complete failure or waste of time to say, this map doesn't work here, this map's not finished, this map doesn't look good. Let's take this map, let's push it down the line and put it in the next game. Put it in Assassin's Creed 3. The Mycef and Altair stuff could have all been cut out into its own separate game, or it could have been put in Assassin's Creed 3. That works fine, actually. And if anything, Altair, instead of wrapping up his experience with Ezio and having a connection there, Altair could have reappeared in Assassin's Creed 3, where you deal with Connor, who is a not very likable character and only gets one game to his name. Connor, being at least half Native American in the United States, could have been spirit guided through some magic throughout the entire game, and he could have gotten Mycef keys, and he could have gone in the past and done all that, and we would have been probably a lot happier to just follow Ezio's tale. Just a straight, let's continue Ezio's tale, let's rip it up, let's wrap it up, let's introduce Sophia, who we assume is the mother of the ancestor of Desmond. I mean, it would, you kind of have to assume that. Ezio doesn't really add anything. Juno, oh, what is his name? Titan? No, his name's not Titan. I forgot the guy's name. The guy we just saw, the ancient alien. Did they even say his name? He doesn't add anything. That element has never added anything. There's no puzzles in this game, which seems like a very specific decision to take puzzles completely out of the game. I'm pretty sure there were puzzles in Brotherhood. In the Subject 16 elements. Now that Subject 16 is completely gone, they are done with that, and I'm not sure we see any other puzzles really continue to be pushed, which is fine because the puzzles were very frustrating in Assassin's Creed 2. It's been my goal up until this point to cover 2 Assassin's Creed games. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue with that now that I'm changing how I'm recording content, now that I've run into a wall where frankly I feel a little bit like old man Altair and old man Ezio, and just a little tired of playing Assassin's Creed games. I'm a little tired of making as much content. Most of my recordings now are 30 minutes and they're going to start, or they probably already are by the time you're seeing this, going to be released every day instead of just on weekdays. So I don't know if I'm really going to squeeze in Assassin's Creed 3 before the end of 2018, and that's saying a lot since right now I'm recording this in February of 2018. Playing Assassin's Creed 3 too. Also is going to be probably every time I play an Assassin's Creed game now, I'm going to definitely consider just having an accelerated experience. What would really save me is if somebody would be so kind as just to gift me the deluxe edition or whatever, the complete edition with the season pass of Assassin's Creed Origins. I don't care if it's deluxe or not, just as long as all the content's there and I can cover it. The season passes in games these days, like you can get the game often half off and then you pay the season pass and then it's back to its original price. That you can see there's a lot of Singapore people that were brought in, so clearly teams were brought in, and this was a troubled development of a game, I'm almost certain. Even if it wasn't a troubled development, it was heavily a troubled product. It was not acceptable when it came out. People hated this game compared to Brotherhood. And even not compared to Brotherhood, if you just compare this to Assassin's Creed 2, it's ugly, it's short, the story writing is bad. The story writing was not that great compared to Assassin's Creed 1, but Assassin's Creed 2, it was really, really good. And once you lost that, you have a problem. The audio in this game is horrible as far as ambient audio. The music is not used effectively. The video is a very ugly muted palette most of the time. In every single aspect, this game is worse not only to Brotherhood but Assassin's Creed 2, except for the fact that in 2 and Brotherhood you would get into the horrible fights where you just have to slash you tap on the X, and if you're mashing buttons, you never beat an enemy, and you have to try to counter every attack and get into a kill streak. They did fix that. That is the one thing that they fixed. The amount of abilities that Ezio has at this point is a problem. They needed to do an abilities where you played for one mission with all of your abilities unlocked, and then you needed to lose all of those. However that happens. The characters are not very well developed. That's back to the writing. We're just looking at design and credits. There's so many people that worked on this, and like they almost certainly should be somewhat ashamed on this one. It's not good. Yeah, and I'm real iffy on Ubisoft games, frankly, because you just never know if they're going to be good or not, or if they're just going to be mediocre, or if they're just going to... I don't think they ever come out and are just horrible, but a lot of ones are iterative and not worth playing. This Quality Control Studio in Bucharest, for instance, that they didn't do a good job, but maybe they did as good a job as they were budgeted to. The multiplayer, we haven't mentioned that, doesn't need to be in this game. Clearly people should have been working on making this a better game in every aspect I just mentioned before they even thought about bringing in multiplayer. And in all honesty, why not just continue the multiplayer from Brotherhood? Why add anything whatsoever to this game when you could have just said, people who bought Brotherhood and played the multiplayer, get that access to that again, and then there should have been a games as service idea where they continue to add elements. That's not what games as service means, but there should have been consistent additions to the multiplayer from Brotherhood to add some more characters, tweak it, but that should have been a completely different team. And instead it definitely feels like the multiplayer is a completely different multiplayer from the previous game. There's some compatibility issues, major compatibility issues for PC particularly. Having to delete a specific DLL file to even get it to really work and get rid of flickering. Having to reduce the processor affinity in 2 or 3 different places to get the game to just not crash. It's really ridiculous. I don't know if it really relates to anything, but I was just suddenly reminded that at some point before Origins came out, so it must have been for the game before Origins, Ubisoft paid a cosplayer to jump around the city in Assassin's Creed outfits and take photos of them. And they made a big deal about that. So that's not really a story that relates to anything. I just wanted to point that out, is that they wasted money and advertisement on having a cosplayer jump around. Now, this is not going in circles as best as I can tell, as far as looking at all these credits. And is, as a general criticism of credits, as games get larger and larger, you've just got to get these people's name to take up 2 or 3 columns. It's just too long. Motion capture, like, whatever they motion captured, it wasn't that obvious or that useful. Like, we're now to IT and build databases and just anybody who worked in the company during the many years I assume that this game was developed. Yes, as I'm sitting here thinking about what a disappointment this game is, it's not really worth playing. No, it isn't. Like, you could skip this right to Assassin's Creed 3 and all the Desmond stuff still happens exactly the same, because there's really nothing that happened to Desmond throughout this game. Clearly they weren't allowed to move the Desmond character or the modern timeline story forward, and you could have been happy enough with Ezio's story ending at Brotherhood. You definitely do need to play Brotherhood. That being said, I did just make the argument, and I think it's probably true, you probably could skip Assassin's Creed 3 too. So my recommended playing list would be play all of Assassin's Creed 1. Don't try to collect any of the flags or feathers. That is crazy, because in Assassin's Creed 1 there's no in-game map and no way of helping you there. Play all of Assassin's Creed 2, I would say, because you need that vast improvement from Assassin's Creed 1 to Assassin's Creed 2. Play Brotherhood, because that story is good and it introduces, it's a pretty big improvement too, probably not as big as from 1 to 2. And then skip Revelations, skip 3, play Black Flag, but maybe not even really play Black Flag because it's an Assassin's Creed game. Black Flag is kind of just a good game to play. And then skip everything up to Origins. Yeah, that's kind of my recommendation. Some of these side games maybe are worth playing. Can I hit any buttons now? I've seen enough credits. I can hit back. I can hit pause. Wow. You really just have to go through all of this. Like, right trigger, up and down on the D-pad, left stick, right stick, up and down on the left and right stick, clicking them down, AB, Uplay.com, people are getting credits, the marketing group. I could see you would have definitely had some trouble selling this game, since there's really nothing to sell here. The obvious thing to do is to say this is the climatic wrapping up of the Ezio trilogy, and go Ezio, Ezio, Ezio. I think they probably were forced to say also you get to play as Altair, but you really don't get to play as Altair. There's not even a skin to play as Altair unless it unlocks after this. That would have been cool for the several different variations of faces that were animated for Altair's outfit. Why not have a skin like that? Or young Altair come out. Probably because none of those assets work with this version of the engine. It doesn't seem like anything from Assassin's Creed 1 really works. And in such a lack of backward compatibility, to the point where they seem like they barely could even get the flashback sequences to run. And bugginess never gets improved in Assassin's Creed games. Maybe Origins is lacking in bugs, but up until that point, they never really fixed it. It is worth mentioning that Ubisoft, during these times, or around these times, until recently, well, even right now, they're still at the threat of being hostilely taken over by Viacom. Viacom is an interesting company because it was set up by Napoleon to help his cousin or brother to have a legal monopoly in all of the viaducts in France. There's a lot of viaducts in France. And so it just grew and grew as this legal monopoly. And in France, if you own a certain number of shares in a company, you have to start the procedures to effectively take it over. And it's a hostile takeover when the company that you're taking over doesn't want to be taken over. So no real strict definition there. It's just whether or not they want to be taken over or not. So in a weird way, Viacom wants, it seems, to make money off of Ubisoft, but it also doesn't seem completely committed to owning, controlling, and running everything. Hey, we're finally at the special thanks. This feels like it's been 12 minutes of credits, by the way. So Viacom buys a lot of stock of them to profit from them, but they seem to not have any indication right now that they want to take over and buy too much stock and be forced to take over. There's all the babies that were born, and oh yeah, they used Adobe Flash at some point. And they use Bing Video. I still am surprised people use Bing Video. That's been around for decades. So Ubisoft, in the middle of potentially being taken over, wants to, they felt the need, wow, they're just using Getty images. Yeah, that doesn't look very professional. But they wanted to get money in every quarter. Every quarter where they had to report to stockholders, they wanted to say that they were making money, they weren't losing any, that they were doing good. That way more people who aren't Viacom would buy more stock. If people lose faith in Ubisoft, they sell their stocks. Viacom is there to buy it up and potentially accidentally trigger a hostile takeover. This is not a new outfit, is this? So for that reason, and I'm assuming many other reasons, they just were very, very committed to having annualized releases of video games, and Assassin's Creed was definitely one of them. So we're back here. If you hadn't done this element, you could have done that. It doesn't seem like there's really anything else to do. Desmond can jump if you tap A. And unless there's something hidden. Let's see. And this is just the menu without the Animus stuff, as if Desmond was in the real world, but he's not. He's in the Animus Island. It's a little bit lighter, so like as if they fixed all this. Now there's no explanation really why he would be back in the Animus at this point. They do shove him right back in the Animus in Assassin's Creed 3. And where are we standing? we are standing. This is a nice default location. We are standing right on the element. The hangout. When we look at the DNA, it's still black. And there's really, well, there's really nothing here unless you were going to try and get the remaining 100%. Which I assume the 82.6% total sync is not just all the memories. There's almost certainly a Uplay achievement that doesn't really matter to get 100% sync on all the memories, but that I also suspect you'd have to get 100% on everything to get a different, even more difficult to get Uplay achievement. And this really is the worst game in the world to try and get 100% achievements, which is the only thing that Steam ever cares about. If you wanted to go back to this area, you'd have to replay a memory, I'm pretty sure, the secondary island, unless there is some boat to Capcadia. Okay, there is a boat here, so you can stay in the current memory and go back to Capcadia. That's interesting. But the Maiden's Tower, maybe you'd have to replay. There's nothing special to really do in the palace. We've completely forgotten about the peri-res elements. Inventory wise, unless it was going to unlock something, like you have the Altair robes, I guess that's as good as you're gonna get in Desmond, but you can't play as old man Altair. We have completed all of these. I have no idea what the data fragments really was even for, unless that unlocked the Subject 16 saving me cutscene, and maybe you didn't see that. Weapons wise, like you can only really see what we've got. I'm pretty sure if you go in here, you're not going to see anything different. Neat. It would be, frankly, an insult if we came into the game and found it looking drastically different or better. So if they were going to give you something different and new, it would have to be very minor. But yeah, it doesn't seem like there's anything new. I wouldn't have been upset if there was, say, more of these assassin things hanging up and it was just cleaned up and brighter, but yeah, I'm fine with what it is. We don't really need to go and look at stats. I don't even know how you is that hidden under the options. I somehow made it under the 30-hour mark here, and yet this video is now about an hour and 45 minutes long. I apparently only died 6 times in a fight. We could look at the achievements, I suppose. This is the one thing that might make me play this game a little bit more. Achieve 100% synchronization in all sequences. Collect all the animus. No, let's just skip on the ones we haven't done. Perform a perfect din defense without using the cannon. Can't even do that without replaying it. Climb Hagia Sophia from the ground to the pinnacle in under 25 seconds. That seems really hard to do. Kill 5 guards in 5 seconds using only your hidden blades. Never did that. Parachute onto a zip line. Collect all available books. Those are too expensive. Loot 50 dead guards with thief looting, which I don't know how that works. Have 10 guards poisoned at the same time. Kill 5 guards with a scaffolding after they've been stunned by caltrops. Parachute directly from the top of Galata Tower to the Golden Horn, which I don't know what a Golden Horn is. Kill 3 guards simultaneously using only throwing knives. Kill 5 guards well into the cover of a smokescreen bomb. A lot of random things. Find and beat up Duccio. Again? Take the induction leap of faith in the Lost Archives. Oh my goodness. I forgot about the DLC. Well, what can one say? I thought I was done. I was happy to be done. We're not done. We've got the Lost Archives. Oh, this is ridiculous. Alright, well, starting in the next recording, we're going to be doing these Lost Archives elements. Which I guess is this. Unless I started this. Maybe we create a new game. Maybe we don't. I may create a new game. Well, it says total sync 0. That's gonna be it for this recording. This DLC clearly I never played before. As for the main game, as for the multiplayer, not worth playing. So unless these Lost Archives somehow change something and add content and fix things, I think this is gonna just be me wasting time because I have time to waste and I already own the game. I might as well play it once. That's it for this recording. Sorry it was so long. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me, gift me any game on Steam that you want me to check out or that's on my wish list. Heck, if you want to save me some frustration, gift me Assassin's Creed Origins. I'll start playing that. I'll never look back. And I'll probably only play Black Flag. That would be about the only one that I ever care about. That's it for this recording. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.